So, good morning. It's Monday, the 19th of August, 2024, and it's just gone 10:30. I'm Dave Geddes, and I will be conducting the assessment of Josh. Josh, can I just ask you to introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, my name is Josh Wire, and I work here at Devices Training Centre as a general instructor.
Fantastic. Thank you, Josh. Before I started the video, I did ask you about and explain to you the reasons why I'll be filming it, and you indicated you was happy to be filmed. I'm just going to ask you again, are you happy to be filmed when we go through this?
Yeah.
Fantastic, thank you. So what we're going to go through, Josh, is I'm just going to draw up, or we're going to go through an assessment of you. So you've been undertaking a level 3 award in education and training with City and Guilds, and it's just about going through and assessing some of those areas with you. Before I go on to that, I'm going to start to talk about more about the assessment plan in detail, and that there's a couple of bits I just want to bring to your attention. So first off, as the posters on the wall and all this sort of stuff, I am governed by the NFCC's Code of Ethics, plus our own internal policies and procedures, which you're fully aware of. I also want to make you aware that as we're going through an assessment process, there's EPR 40, which is the Assessment Appeals Procedure. I won't read it all out to you now, or ask you to read it now, because it's quite a big document, but I'll provide you with a copy of that, so I'll ask you to go and take that away and have a read of that as well, although you're aware of that anyway. But to summarise, as we go through the process, if there's anything, any of my assessments or any part of the process where you feel that I'm not doing what I should be doing, or if there's something about the process that you're not happy with, or you feel you're being assessed unfairly or treated unfairly and that sort of stuff, initially come and speak to me, and then we can hopefully resolve it and address it and deal with those points here. If you don't feel you can come and speak to me, then obviously you can go speak to my line manager Wayne or his line manager and all that sort of stuff, and then follow that process through. Ultimately, the assessment process is about you and achieving a positive outcome, and my job is to help you get to that point and ensure you're assessed fairly and consistently and in line with the award criteria or the assessment criteria. But if you don't feel that that's happening in any way, shape or form, that document is there for you. Please read it and we can follow it through. Okay?
Thank you.
The other bits that sit behind there as well, health and safety requirements. As we're going through, the areas that we're going to cover off here are quite theoretical with a couple of practical elements in them as well. Health and safety, obviously, within the training centre, we'll manage and maintain the whole time. And as we go through, we'll start to see where that feeds into stuff as well. GDPR-wise, the documentation I produce as part of this assessment will be used for the process of the assessment. The video recordings will be used just to provide some contextual evidence for the assessment as well. What you provide to me, and as we've discussed prior to this video starting as well, is that I'm actually obtaining an award at the moment as well. So I'll be providing this video, the paperwork and documentation, to an external body as part of that award criteria. Once I've finished with it and I've demonstrated what I need to do with it, any copies that are held on my account or on my laptop will be destroyed. The videos, which will be uploaded onto YouTube, it's held within a secure channel on there. I'll provide the link to the external company, but once they're happy with it and the accreditate or the award's been given, hopefully, at that point there, I'll clear that and delete all those videos as well, so they won't be held in YouTube forever and a day, because they'll be beyond that point of what I need them for. So anything that's held on this paperwork and stuff like that, I'll scan it, save it, hard copies will be deleted or destroyed. Any electronic copies will be deleted once their use is no longer required. Okay. Again, I can direct you towards the services information governance procedure. If you're
aware of that.
Fantastic. Thank you. No problems at all. So that'll be the process that we do, and we'll go into more detail in a moment there about the actual areas we're going to assess. Before I go any further, have you got any questions about health and safety, GDPR, what we're doing while we're here?
No.
You didn't think you were just coming in today to have a one-to-one or anything?
No, that's all.
Okay.
No, that's all good.
Fantastic. Right. Again, as we go through, this is as much about you as it is about everything there. So if you've got any questions as we go through, please ask. If there's any concerns you've got as we go through, please ask. It's about that. My job is to help you, answer those questions for you, but help you get to the end. Okay. So what we're here to do today is create a plan, and the plan is for assessing you against the Level 3 Award in Education and Training as set out by City and Guilds. And what we're going to look at is Unit 301 and Unit 302. I've got 2 assessment plans here, which I've already started to populate, and then it'll be a case of going through these with you and discussing them. But I suppose before I do that, it'd be really handy for me to get an understanding of what you want to achieve from getting the AET, level 3 AET. So what you want to do, what your aspirations are, how you want to go, how you want to utilise that qualification, but also a little bit of understanding about you and your experience and any considerations you may wish or I may need to be aware of as part of the assessment process.
Yeah, so I've worked here at Training Development Centre for 4 years now, and prior to that had an instructor qualification in aerial platform.
Yep.
So I was an instructor in aerial platform. Came to Training Centre, I've acquired instructor qualifications in breathing apparatus, RTC, which is road traffic collision, fire behaviour. I'm at the sort of point of contact / lead assessor, if you like, for the promotion technical assessment days. I helped conduct various other incident command assessor, and it's kind of having the AET just gives that bit of credibility to have an official assessor qualification to sort of run behind that. I've done the internal trainer assessor, but to actually have an official award from City and Guilds to sort of back up that that instructor role, and to be able to then say, well, actually, for example, if this was ever brought up from one of my students, one of our students, the assessment appeals procedure, well, actually part of that's going to be looking at my credibility as an assessor. So this is about cementing, gaining that. Really.
Yeah. So it's about what you're looking to achieve from the AET is about that verification around what you're doing as an instructor anyway, and your ability to teach and train is taking into account all the things like you call it diversity, individual learning needs, and all those kinds of bits as well. So it's what you're doing anyway, but just to make sure you've got the award or an award underneath.
Yeah, actually, I think my natural role here, you pick up and work out ways to teach and what's good for people, but the AET looks in depth at things that you might not think about, like you said, such as individual learning needs and the governance that falls behind that.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. So, is there any? Do you have any concerns about the assessment process?
No.
No. So you're happy. You're happy going through the process.
Yeah.
Have you got anything within there as well? And again, this would really help me with developing the assessment criteria I'll be using against you. Is there anything in there so any cognitive issues, any neurodiverse requirements, physical requirements or issues that we need to be aware of?
No.
No?
No, not at all.
No. Okay, so again, just to summarise then, so the award that we're looking at is the level 3 AET from City and Guilds, and that you want to get that, it's almost like a verification of your current role, as in having been here for 4 years as an instructor and having done lots of leading in a number of areas, done lots of instructional courses and delivering regular basis to students. But just want to make sure you're doing it correctly and above board. Okay.
Absolutely.
And you've got no concerns around the assessment process, and there's nothing that we really need to be worried about with regards to written or numeracy or ICT or any of the other functional skills that we have in there. And you've got no issues with regards to language or physical ability or any other neurodiverse requirements we need to be thinking about. No. Okay, brilliant. Thank you. Again, I'll repeat back there. The process is about you. If there's anything you go through and as we start to go through it, if there's any challenges or concerns that you get as you come through, please come speak to me. And then what we'll do is we can always readjust the assessment plan. We can always readjust what we're doing, and if we need to do a bit of check and a balance there, just to make sure that if I've given you loads of written stuff to do, then that's being a challenge for you. We can always look at how we can adjust that, achieve the assessment criteria, but maybe use a different assessment method. Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. So let's move on. Should we move on to the assessment plans?
Go for it.
Okay. So There's 2 assessment plans that need to be required. I need to produce and provide those in there. And what I'll try and do within those is make them, it's almost like a holistic approach. So if I can get as many assessment criteria as possible against an assessment method, it just makes it a lot easier for you to demonstrate, makes it easier for me to assess and mark and understand as well. The units I was looking at, and it probably goes back to what you were talking about just a minute ago there about the understanding of the finer detail. You just talked about there, the finer detail and the governance that sits behind it as well as to why we do stuff, how you do stuff, and how you can implement that into your work. So hopefully some of the areas that we cover off here will deal with that for you. The first area I was going to look at, and this is assessment plan JW1. So I'll provide you with copies of these as well. And what I'll also do is provide you, once we've agreed, I'll provide you with a copy of this. And then what I'll also do is provide you with a copy of the assessment criteria that City and Guild issue as well. So you've got that on there as well. And I'll send you specifically the tasks that we got in here. The first part we're looking at, so if we look at assessment plan JW1, I'll put your name, my name, the unit that we're going to be assessing against, which is City and Guild's Level 3 AET, Unit 301. Date and time, which is today, and the meeting starting at 10:30. The location we're agreeing the assessment plan, which is here at Devices Training Centre, and I'll provide you a copy of EPR 40 as well there, and explain that appeals process to you. The first area we're going to look at is a description of what's being assessed. So we're going to look at Unit 301, and what I was looking at doing was Task A. So it kind of fits into what you were just talking about there. Unit 301 Task A, which is understanding the teaching role and responsibilities in education and training. That's broken down into 4 assessment criteria, or four assessment criteria. I'll see these down, but obviously with that paperwork, we'll copy of the actual criteria. You can read the longer definitions of them. Assessment criteria A, which is explain the teaching role and responsibilities in education and training, and including how this relates to the training or teaching and training cycle. Criteria B, which is explain how the teaching role involves working with other professionals. So this is more about internally, so HR, business partners, other trainers, and all those kinds of stuff there. So we're talking about internally. Unit C explains the boundaries between the teaching role and other professional points. So this is about working with people external, understanding your boundaries as a trainer. So there's bits that you can't see in there, so things, for example, like financial advice, unless you're a qualified financial advisor. You can't do that, so you have to, how you advise those people there for housing, how if there's someone who's got some counselling requirements and stuff like that, how you can identify that, engage with those people, and then signpost them, how you would do that effectively. And then criterion D, which is summarise key aspects of legislation, regulatory requirements relevant to your role as a teacher, so that governance you was talking about. Okay, so that's Unit 301 Task A. And what I was looking at doing through that for yourself there is by means of an assignment. You've got a lot of experience anyway, but it's just about asking you to sort of reflect and think about it, write it into an assignment for me. Does that work for you?
Perfect.
You think you can do that?
Yeah.
Okay. By doing that, if we look at the criteria there, you've got the 4 assessment criteria that can be covered off in one assignment there. So you can set it out how you want to do it there, but just as long as it covers on those four key areas that we're looking at. Okay. The next box we look at is a date and the time of the assessment, so when you can produce that documentation to me. Because what we look at doing as part of the assessment evidence is a production of that real. If you give me a copy of your assignment, I can then go through it and assess it against those 4 criteria, tick it off to sort of say that you've achieved those 4 points there, and then be able to provide you with feedback. One of the things I was looking at doing, because we've got assessment plan JW2, which we'll come on to in a minute there, is I appreciate we've got a course running this week. And the second part we'll come on to in a moment now. Hopefully we can tie up the JW1, assessment plan 1 and assessment plan 2 by the end of the week. So I can see you completing the second part there and I can provide you with feedback. And the reason I'm looking at doing that is because I appreciate next week we've got bank holiday, road days, and then we're into a busy round of courses and stuff like that. So this week actually works nicely because we're running an RTC course this week, so we can hit the second part of JW, or assessment plan JW2. The key bit's going to be you doing JW1 this assignment. Have you got sufficient time during the week to be able to do that? Yeah. Okay. City and Guilds generally look at about 700 odd words within their assignment to hit those 4 criterion. practically, you're probably looking at doubling that up to be able to provide the context within there. So that's about sort of 1,500 words. Is that achievable? Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. So on that case then, what we'll do is Unit 301 Task A, this is Assessment Plan JW1. 301 Task A, which is going to be an assignment against the criteria of A, B, C and D about the role of a teacher, including the learning cycle, how that works with internal partners, external partners, and also the legislation that sits behind it, like health and safety, GDPR, Equalities Act, etc., etc., etc. Okay. Date and time of the assessment, at the moment, I will set it for Friday, which will be the 23rd, isn't it? And what I'll do is I'll leave the time of the assessment, I'll leave it blank at the moment there, because I appreciate there's a number of factors we'll have to move in and around Friday as well. What I will say to you though is when you know that you're going to be ready to go, let me know and we'll conduct that part there.
Okay. Perfect, yeah.
What I'll probably do is look at this as part of the assessment feedback session with you. Before we give an outcome, we'll have a look at this as part of the assessment feedback. But if you can provide me with a copy beforehand,
yeah,
that would be really helpful. Okay?
Yeah. No.
Fantastic. Have you got any questions on that assessment plan JW1?
No.
No? Makes sense?
It does.
Achievable?
Yes.
Yeah. You know the time that I'm going to work to?
Yes.
What you need to do? How you need to do it?
Yep.
Yeah. Fantastic. The second part we're going to go on to, which is assessment plan JW2. And again, this is against the level 3 AET City and Guilds. And what we'll do with that is, again, top part of this assessment plan is exactly the same as the other one. The meeting today, it's you, me, we're at Devisers Training Centre. You've had a copy of the EPR 40. And what we're going to look at for the second part there is Unit 302 Task C. You've been delivering lots and lots of sessions, and you've delivered sessions numerous, and I've had a chance to see you deliver sessions and do stuff in the past. I don't think there's much point in us going and asking you to do a demonstration in the work environment or a simulated environment on there, because you're already doing it to a high standard. What would be really good though is I've not really had a chance to observe you providing constructive feedback to learners. So what we do here is under Unit 302 Task C, and the assessment criteria of B, which is to provide constructive feedback to learners to meet their individual needs. This may include positive and supportive feedback, identifying areas of development, praising success, and learner involvement. So think about your current role. Where would you use that quite a lot?
Well, after most courses, to be fair.
Yeah.
All of our courses end with a practical assessment, and we provide feedback to individuals on the assessment.
Yeah.
And then there's a feedback in written form for the overall course, which will also summarise the practical assessment.
So what we'll do there is, I think what would be really handy for here is Unit 302 Task C, what we just talked about there, that assessment feedback. And the assessment method is when at the end of the week, and this ties back to that JW1 assessment plan, is we're running a course at the moment. If there's an identified student by the end of the week, one of the students that you'll be teaching, if you're able to provide them with feedback after their final summative assessment, isn't it, at the end of the week?
Yeah.
So after their summative assessment on Friday, and that forms two parts, is it the written and practical? Or is it?
Yeah, they might do the written on Thursday.
Yeah.
But yeah, certainly the practical.
Yeah. Okay.
They do a scenario exercise on Friday, and we observe that. Okay.
So what would be really helpful is, I'll put it as a skills test really, which is just about you demonstrating your ability to undertake a role.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a skills test on there, and what that will be is you delivering feedback to that learner after the session that they run on Friday, but also incorporating the written assessment from Thursday, take the results from there. So you should hopefully be able to stand there and say your underpinning knowledge and your practical knowledge and be able to provide them with feedback against those two areas.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay. I've put oral Q&A under there as well, which would be me just asking you some questions as well in amongst it, and that'll just be not to sort of stand there and sort of say, right, and then now you've demonstrated this to me, I'm going to ask you loads and loads of questions. This is about just making sure that we can evidence the breadth and depth of what you've done as well. So it'll just be providing some more contextualised data to it as well. So we'll ask you an oral Q&A as well. I've put that as the assessment criteria covered, which will be Unit 302 Task C, Criterion B. And their assessment will be on Friday the 20th. Let me just adjust that a moment there.
23rd, is it?
Yeah, Friday 23rd. And that'll be at DTC. The other person to be involved will be a student, so another student we'll use as one of the students on there. And the assessment evidence we'll use for it is it'll be a video recording of you providing that feedback, which I'll use on here. And then also the documented feedback that you'll give to that individual as well as part of their end of course report. So evidence about their theoretical underpinning knowledge and their practical ability. And then the feedback you provided to them.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Linking those two plans together is achievable by Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the JW1, the assessment or the assignment,
yeah,
which covers off those 4 criterion, and JW2, which covers you off 302 Task C, Criterion B, which is providing the feedback to that student. We'll record it on Friday,
yeah,
and you can provide them with the written documented evidence of their feedback as well, which they can take away quite quickly, so they can then start to develop and learn from it.
No
Do
problem.
that?
Yeah.
Fantastic. That's two assignments or 2 assessment areas that we're going to cover off. And obviously then we can use that towards the other areas of the qualification as well.
Perfect.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, great.
Yeah. Have you any questions around any of that?
No, you've explained it very well.
No? So next steps then, Josh, I've made some adjustments to this as we've gone through it. I'll print this off and ask you to sign it. And then I'll save that into my folder as well there so that we've got a signed copy of it. And I'll give you a copy of it as well so that you've got a copy for reference for yourself.
Yeah.
You're going to go away and do 301 Task A, the assignment, and then hopefully get a copy of that to me before the end of the week so I can then have a look at it. Friday we'll meet again with a student where you'll be able to provide them with assessment feedback or some feedback at the end of their practical assessment and also their theoretical assessment. I'll ask you some Q&A around there as well. Then we'll stop and then we'll have a short breather and then I'll be able to provide you with some assignment or some assessment feedback against those 2 assessment plans. Does that work?
Mm-hmm.
Good. What I've done on this though there is I've left the timings. The only bit that I've not done on these plans is to put some timings against Friday because I appreciate Friday's going to be quite a fluid bit there. But when we come back to the plans, we'll update them at that point.
Okay.
Again, it'll be down to you telling me when you're ready to go and the student's ready to go, and then I'll adapt and move around you rather than being prescriptive. At the bottom of both plans, there's also a bit in there where I've provided an additional information relevant to the assessment. And again, I'll give you a chance to sort of go through this. But basically, that's going to capture that will have in there about the bits that we covered off before. You know, when I started at the start, you said about being here for 4 years. Experienced trainer in a number of key areas like aerial, CFBT, BAI, RTCI, and all those kinds of bits. And obviously help out with technical assessments. You've got no identified issues or needs or anything like that. What you want to try and get out of the assessment as well. So what we're trying to work to, just to put some context to that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
Fantastic. That's pretty much it. Any questions?
None at all.
No? Good. Well, I look forward to working with you over the assessment plan. Look forward to working with you over the week to get to the point there and on Friday, positive outcome. Right?
Good. Yeah.
Positive outcome for you and for the student you're assessing as well.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're providing feedback to on Friday as well.
Yeah.
As I've said, any questions, please ask. More than happy to answer them. If there's anything you're going through and we start to get an issue with, for example, the assignment starting to, because of other things going on, it's starting to impact on there, or anything happens in the personal life that will impact on your abilities, please let me know. If you need any support, please let me know. Anything's there, come and speak to me.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah, great.
Awesome.
Thanks, Dave.
In that case then, thank you very much. I'll turn the camera off.